Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. And to some of our panelists, good morning. I know we have 2 or 3 actually dialing in from other jurisdictions. Thank you all for tuning in today to SC by SC, FinTech Conference 2020. I am Haniza. I'm from the Islamic Capital Market Development of SC. And I am surely privileged to be given this opportunity to moderate such a distinguished panel of scholars and experts today. Very humbled indeed. After a day of conversations, yesterday we heard on agility, we heard on accessibility, accountability, to how digital platforms have played that integral role in the challenging period we have been in the last 6 months. New norm is commonly what we hear almost every day now. And we hope that this next session will only in fact just do or increase more conversation enablers. We bring to you the headline title, Crypto Conundrum in Islamic Finance. But before we hear from the lineup of the very esteemed speakers this afternoon that we bring to you, allow me to get a few housekeeping points out of the way to all in the virtual community today. Please know you can ask questions you may have using the Slido app. All you need to do is go to www.slido.com on your devices, key in the event code SCxSC 2020. Or to be faster, you can just click the Slido link on the chat box, select the relevant session and key in your questions there. And now to start the session, please indulge me. I'm going to try and set the general context for all the speakers and the listeners out there. Malaysia has carved a very strong global position as an Islamic finance hub. And over the few years, especially the last few years, it has encouraged through regulatory changes, the growth of an ecosystem that supports digital developments and transformation. Going digital is non-negotiable, and harnessing the full potential of technology is critical as a key enabler for economic growth. And as the first moderator said yesterday, for some of you who may have been in yesterday morning, the health crisis we are in has not only changed lives, but livelihoods. So when you pair words such as crypto, conundrum, Islamic finance, and the current mode of reacting and persevering, it is important, I guess, to establish this afternoon what is perceived versus what is reality. Globally, it is evident that adoption of cryptocurrencies in commerce is a growing trend among global markets. Statistics show, however, that cryptocurrency usage in Muslim countries are among the lowest worldwide. This could or may be attributed to their reluctance in legitimizing cryptocurrencies and whether or not they are compliant with Islamic laws or Shariah. And this perhaps forms the crux of the issue and the conundrum. There have also been many differing opinions on the use of cryptocurrencies, such as Bitcoin and Ethereum, as a legitimate form of currency and investment in Islam. And it is my hope that the experts that we have here today will dive into the critical factors and nuances of it and help us dissect. Before deep diving, allow me to also share the most recent development in SC's developmental initiatives in relation to digital assets and Islamic capital markets. The Securities Commission Shariah Advisory Council, SAC for short, had resolved in July that it is permissible to invest and trade in digital currencies and tokens on registered digital asset exchanges or DEX. And this significant milestone, we hope to see spur greater ICM product innovation and development in different asset classes. And to further share, I'm sure I'll be picking on the chair of the SAC of Malaysia to talk more. But I think among the key salient points was that it was recognized as an asset and that it is not a currency. It is also not categorized as ribawi. And with regards to digital token, the SAC had also issued guiding principles pertaining to the manner in utilization of proceeds. So the future then surely is a promising outlook. And I ask all the 4 gentlemen out there, as the foreseeable impact and benefits will either provide clarity, encourage broader participation, and definitely enable an alternative channel for Sharia compliant fundraising. But this is not without its challenges. Challenges are opportunities in disguise. And therefore, the takeaway I think we're hoping from all the 4 speakers today is basically the learning of what and the how, and the lessons that all of you have gone through in the crypto or digital asset journey that you all have gone through so far. We have with us Datuk Dr. Muhammad Daud Bakar, Chairman of Shariah Advisory Council, SC Malaysia and Bank Negara. He has a long list of notable accomplishments, awards, career chapters, and we hope he will share with us on the SCxSC resolution, amongst others, and the role in another Sharia white paper on Ether, where Amani Advisors, a name synonymous with Dr. Daud, has collaborated with Ethereum Foundation to conduct research on Ether as cryptocurrency and the Ethereum platform. The next renowned scholar that we are also very privileged to be able to make time and join us today is Sheikh Dr. Muhammad Ali Al-Ghari. Dr. Al-Ghari is chairman and member of numerous Sharia boards of Islamic banks and takaful companies worldwide, not to mention numerous awards recipient, and has countless notable roles and contributions in the discourse journey of the subject matter we have at hand today. I will not do him justice by summarizing a list, so I won't do it. The list is really too long for me. So maybe Sheikh Dr. Al-Ghari can also share with us his view on the juxtaposition of crypto, Islamic finance, and the evolution of money. The remaining 2 gentlemen we have with us are Dr. Ziad, Associate Dean and Director for INSIA, and Mr. Bashir, Senior Manager Markets DFSA. Definitely, I look forward to Dr. Ziad sharing with us his digital experience and utilization of blockchain in social finance outreach. He's the recipient of numerous global awards for his unique Islamic social finance fintech modeling technique. And after that, we're going to take a journey. We all are now doing armchair travel, Bashir. So I'm going to just have to do armchair travel with you over to Dubai and see what road you took in regulating this space. So I'm not going to force and make any of you listen to me anymore. It's not me that you all joined in. It's the 4 gentlemen there you see in the virtual screen. I'm going to start with Dr. Daud. Can you share your perspective, Doctor, on the overall cryptocurrency development, its evolution today? And I also know that you can share within and outside the jurisdictions you're involved in. And can I just be a little bit persuasive here, taking heed of the headline, Doctor? Is it a conundrum or is it a perception that it is so for the Islamic finance? And would like to hear your views on that. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Doctor.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Sharifah Haniza. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Can you hear me well, everyone?
We do.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah wa bihi nasta'in wa nusalli wa nusallim ala rasulihi al-amin. Thank you for having me and other esteemed panelists and colleagues in this important session. As you have mentioned rightly just now, we are not only facing the crisis, but we are also facing the new normal, the new way of doing things. And digital has become very much close to the heart and the mind of so many people because due to the restriction in movement, and that come nicely to the whole idea of this forum. That is the digital, if you like, asset, or in the future digital asset, digital currency as we progress further. To answer your question just now, the motion of this event, crypto conundrum, it is a conundrum of perception. For me, it's neither conundrum or perception. It's a matter of how are we able to make it easy for people to understand, how to make it, common sense, illustration for the people, because at the moment it's new thing and people tend to think it is very much conundrum and it is much a matter of perception. So I don't think so. I'm more than happy to be challenged on that argument. But coming back to the whole discussion, as we are embarking on digital economy, not only in terms of product and services and platform, the marketplace, we have everything in place. We have all the building block. We have seen many new job creation within our own community. So we have everything, almost everything is digital. The way we do things, the way we take decision, the way we market and do our AMLA, our know your customer. Even now we have this software for that. So everything has been digital. The due diligence for the big company to invest in companies is they cannot be traveling anymore. So they use the very fintech kind of AMLA and KWC and whatnot. The only thing left, interestingly, is currency. Currency is still not digital. Currency still need the whole ecosystem to make it transferred from one party to another. And sometimes it take days, if not longer than that. So it make the whole thing not efficient. Digital economy has growing very good and very interesting, but the last mile, as they call it, the last mile argument is not there. So we are fighting the last mile, which is the ability of the digital currency to make the whole thing more efficient. Within seconds, then you can see the money transferred from one place to another. Having said that, it's not about new currency altogether. Perhaps the government of the day can make their own fiat currency into digital, and this is the basic crypto. They call it stable coin. So the coin is being backed by the cryptography. This is the simplest thing to do. And as you know, the whole evolution of cryptocurrency started from the Bitcoin after the global financial crisis by so-called Satoshi Nakamoto, because he thought that this distributed ledger technology is much more efficient to address and to arrest the global financial crisis, because the transparency was not there, the disclosure was not there, and people can take the advantage of limited knowledge and limited experience of dealing with financial matters. And he came with the white paper of the Bitcoin, and that was the genesis of the whole thing. But before we go for that, the cryptography was an old discipline. In Islamic tradition, it was developed for the first time by Al-Kindi in the 9th century of AD in the Baghdad, unlocking the codes of not readily understood words and sentences before it was later advanced by the British and the Polish intelligence in facing the German in the Second World War. Put aside the story, but cryptography is an old subject, is an old discipline, but coupled with the Bitcoin, coupled with the distributed ledger technology that give the trust of managing everything to a group of people which are connected digitally, so people can see the development, the movement of one transaction to another online, which is no longer private to some people. It become very much of open information to everyone. So the blockchain technology, or DLT, is a new transformation. Perhaps this is the 8 wonders of the world that will make everyone connected and very much transpired. So in that moment, and we have seen the Ethereum came afterward with a more interesting revolution, because Ethereum would provide 2 types of currency, one from their own currency. They started with their own ICO, as you know, unlike the Bitcoin. Bitcoin was never an ICO, but Ether started from the ICO. They managed to raise their own fund, but after some time, they have created another currency to be used as the currency for people to use that currency, that crypto, for their own development of the platform. So people use their crypto, the second version of the crypto of Ether, to transact and to be paid and to be a kind of as a kind of medium of exchange, as a kind of rental, as a kind of consideration in the other market other than the Ethereum Foundation market. So this has been a complementary to the Bitcoin, which is very much a coin, and the other one which is very much currency to be used as a medium of exchange in a bigger structure. So it was a natural progression from cryptography to DLT and to proof of work, which is advocated by Ethereum, and that's why we can see now many other crypto players at the moment, they are using this crypto version of Ether for their own purposes. When it comes to SCxSC, Shariah Advocacy Council of Malaysia, we took our own time putting the resources, putting the thought together in understanding better what kind of animal are we talking about with regard to these cryptos, particularly the famous one, the Bitcoin and Ether and Ripple for that matter. And after a few series of discussion, as the moderator, Madam Moderator was saying, that we have concluded with the full of confidence then that cryptos in that format was never meant to be the currencies. They are the commodities. They are as good as commodities, though they are digital in nature, but they are commodities. They are not ribawi item until and unless they are backed by ribawi item like gold and silver, for example, or by fiat. So when they are backed by those items, they become the ribawi item, but not necessarily currency. They become the ribawi item, then subjected to the strict prohibition of dealing with ribawi item. Otherwise, they are as good as you are buying e-ticket or commodities or asset in the market. So this is a new development that we have taken, and that can open up so many interesting area in Malaysia. Those cryptos can be deemed as investment asset. People can buy and hold, or people can buy and trade in those assets. And we have also, in the second version of the fatwa of our resolution, we also make it possible for companies to issue the coin as a method of share, as a method of capital in the company. So subject to certain restriction, this has opened up for people to really take the advantage of those cryptos as a commodity, as well as token of investment in the company. Moving forward, in the last 1 or 2 minutes of my time, I would say that the potential is great. It comes nicely with the digital economy of the world. We have many low-hanging fruit out there. We can develop the stable coin quite easily without any difficulty by the government and respective jurisdiction. We can have the coin to be backed by certain community, by certain venture and projects. And as you know, according to the time recently, the group led by Jack Ma called the N Group, ANT, they are going for IPO, and under their company, they have the blockchain, they have the fintech, and they have many other technology devices. And this will be the biggest IPO that we have seen thus far, up to 250 billion US dollars. So the value of this new technology is huge, and it is very much real. I hope I have covered some of the aspects from the historical evolution and some challenges in the past. And in the case of Ethereum, Dr. Algari is our chairman of Amani Advisors Shariah Board. We have taken about 2 years to really understand the whole behavior, and we are happy to conclude that those cryptos are not currencies. They are commodities, but they could be used as medium of exchange. We cannot stop people using commodities as the medium of exchange, but they are not tantamount to currency. With that, I'll stop at this juncture. I would like to give the session back to Madam Sharifah and other esteemed colleagues and panelists. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor. I think we're going to park 1 or 2 questions. I know you said you were open to debate. I'm not going to debate you. I'll be the last to debate you, definitely. But I think we're going to park the questions on innovation and how to make it open. We'll come back to that. I'm just going to move on to Sheikh Dr. Algari. And I'm going to zero in on one question especially. Of course, we're going to start with maybe your sharing on the perspective of the overall journey and being chairman of the Amani board, and also a little bit of background on the Ethereum. But I'm going to add one other question, Shay, which is the question about what is the overall acceptance, or rather lack of acceptance, for cryptocurrencies among scholars. I mean, how do we make it an acceptable currency? Is that the main issue? And how do we make that better and help Islamic economy into a much more efficient future? I'm zeroing in because that is the core of our subject matter this afternoon. Thanks, Sheikh.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. Can you hear me?
Yes, clearly.
Okay. Very good. Alhamdulillah, نحمده ونستغفره ونستعينه ونصلي ونسلم على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. I would like to start by thanking the organizers for giving me this opportunity to participate in this important forum. In the next few minutes, I will try to describe how the monetary system evolved to reach this digital era, and how Islamic banking may be impacted by the new development. And I will also highlight some Sharia position on certain aspects of cryptocurrency. It may look like cryptocurrency is a novel and a huge disruptive innovation of late. The fact of the matter is that we have been into digital money for decades. Credit cards are actually digital innovation. Furthermore, what is called wholesale money between the central banks and the commercial banks have never been physical. The whole financial system has been moving digital for decades. So cryptocurrency is coming to a world eagerly awaiting it. It is following the same path of development of money over the ages. We all know that anything of value can render the function of money. The question is efficiency. Over the centuries, humans used wheat, animal hide, chili pepper, and many other items as medium of exchange and measure of value. If we follow the human journey through the ages, starting with the invention of money, and then how mankind worked relentlessly to improve the performance of money in delivering the function of medium of exchange, measure of value, and store of value. If we do that, we can recognize few signposts in the process of moving from one currency to another. We are moving from a medium of exchange that is less expensive to store. And we are moving to the one that has longer lifespan, i.e. not perishable. And most importantly, moving to a medium of exchange that has limited supply and minimal value in use. When the currency has limited supply, this means price stability can be assured. And when the currency has less value in use, then the value it carries in exchange will be only that of the good or service being exchanged. That is why gold and silver were huge leap forward towards more efficient money. But it remained that gold and silver do have value in use, albeit very minimal. Paper money came and was quite an advance in the relentless search for more efficient money because it almost has no value in use, just paper. But it has its problems because safekeeping is expensive for paper money. We can see clearly that cryptocurrency is the grand finale of most exciting human journey into the development of money. All the problems other forms of money suffered from in the past no longer exist. They have been eliminated. It is the end of history for money. From Sharia point of view, there is nothing in Sharia that dictates what medium of exchange Muslims must use. This is completely left to the trust and acceptance of members of society. Hence, we should be open-minded about this issue. What we are concerned with today is the Sharia position vis-a-vis cryptocurrency. To me, the fact that this currency is nothing but bits and bytes and has no physical existence of any sort, to me, this is a non-issue. the important and relevant Sharia question in the current discourse are whether it is permissible for a Muslim to own, to invest in, and to use cryptocurrency as a store of value. And the second question is, can a Muslim community or ummah adapt cryptocurrency as the legal tender, even if it was independent from central bank and not supported by a government? For the first question, the answer would be yes, if we can establish that cryptocurrency qualifies as mal, as chattel, as property, as asset from Sharia point of view. From Sharia point of view, of course, something can be considered a property or a chattel or asset if it can satisfy three conditions. First, it has to be useful, i.e., it has a use that people desire it and want to have in the normal functioning of the society, and not in a dire circumstances or exceptional situations. And the second is, this use must be permissible from Sharia point of view in the normal circumstances. And the condition number three is that this use have a value assigned to it in habitual and customary practice. Now, clearly, cryptocurrency does meet all three conditions. Hence, we can say that it is permissible to own, to purchase, to sell, to keep, to invest in cryptocurrency like any other item of value. Note that cryptocurrency is fungible or fungible. Hence, all the rules of riba will apply here. In other words, if I extend the loan to another individual of 100 bitcoins, but also required that he has to pay me back 105, this is riba, regardless of the fact that cryptocurrency has no physical existence. So all the rules of riba are applied here because they are applied to every fungible thing. In other words, if I lend you 100 kilograms of rice and make it a condition that you have to pay me back 105, this is riba, although rice is not a currency. So riba is not only in money, it is in an asset that is fungible. And the second question relates to permissibility of using cryptocurrency as money for the society at large. Cryptocurrency issued by a government poses no problem because actually it is an official money. And if it can do the job, there is nothing in Sharia that causes it to be non-halal. Using a non-government issued cryptocurrency like Bitcoin that is independent from central bank supervision is another thing. Such cryptocurrency will have characteristics of speculative instrument. Uncontrolled or monitored by a central authority, it will cause this cryptocurrency to be a tool for gambling. And it could be manipulated to embezzle and loot the weaker portion of society over and above the fact that it is always prone to collapse. So doubt is casted over permissibility of using such cryptocurrency as measure of value or a store of value for a Muslim community. Now let us now address the issue related to Islamic banking and how it is impacted by such development. Digital currency, as we all know, is a huge opportunity for all banking, but especially Islamic banking. With the advantage of less cost, more speed, cryptocurrency will be an instrument to inclusion by Islamic banks. Our societies suffer from the fact that only a limited portion of society participate in the activities of the financial sector. Such situation will reduce ability to grow for the whole society and create and the ability to create prosperity for all. It is already clear that digital money succeeded in enlarging the area of financial intermediation by including the poorest classes of society, ones who never thought they would benefit from the financial system. By utilizing cryptocurrency, Islamic banks can include the poor portion of the society. They can include them in the financial intermediation, and therefore make the society more efficient and more capable of creating jobs and making a high rate of growth. One can think of another aspect of the said impact on Islamic banks. In Islamic banking, the Sharia part of the transaction is mostly done manually. Thus, naturally, mistakes do frequently happen. But with blockchain, which is an integral part of moving digital, an opportunity is created to perfect the implementation of Sharia rules of transaction using the technology of blockchain, and therefore becoming more adherent to Islamic rules than before, and thus improving the Sharia quality of Islamic banking. One can think of other things, but I think time has elapsed. Thank you very much, Madam Moderator.
Thank you, Dr. Gary. We will definitely be coming back to you on some questions. I can see the questions coming already, and they both relate to both Dr. Dawood and yourself. But before we do that, I would just like to move on to Dr. Ziad and maybe get his perspective. Doctor, can we get your perspective on the overall evolution of cryptocurrency? But can I be specific and ask you to talk a little bit of the work you've been doing in this space and how it's been marrying, how you've been marrying it with social finance and the outreach work that you've done from that? Because I'm trying to tie it back to the inclusion point that Sheikh Dr. El-Gari was mentioning, and seeing whether there's something we can find out about. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sister Sharifatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Certainly, it is an honor to be on this respected panel, first of all, and thank you very much to the Securities Commission for the invitation. Very quickly, and a lot has already been covered by the esteemed guests with regards to the crypto development. It's important that as we evolve through this crypto asset sector, that we classify these crypto assets correctly. And Dr. Bakr has already mentioned that he is talking about digital assets, and really we are not talking that specifically about cryptocurrency. So these challenges do emanate from how we will classify them as well in the Sharia screening process going forward. Now, this also means that a lot of the evolution over the last 5 years has gone beyond the original understanding of how a crypto asset functions. And this means that the original platform of blockchain and perhaps DLT or distributed ledger has also evolved as we see it. And right now, although Dr. Bakr has been talking about proof of work, we also have proof of stake, we have tokens, we have stable coins that use different validation mechanisms. So there has been a significant evolution of these crypto assets as how they are recognized and categorized, which means that legally and from a regulatory perspective, how will these coins actually be categorized and managed, regulated? So that would depend on how, on what they actually represent. So this is important that we understand that. Now, besides all of this process, we do realize that crypto assets themselves have actually come to a sort of crossroads. And why is this? Although we have almost 7,000 crypto assets available today, this crossroads is not really to do with the context of the coin and how it's structured, but it is to do with the technology. So from a tech perspective, we've been really applying what is well known as Moore's law. And Moore's law is that exponential advancement of technology based on how many transistors you can cram onto a circuit board. But we can also say that Moore's law is probably coming to an end as we enter a new era. And now we can talk about a new law called Nevin's law. Nevin's law is the quantum computing law. Now, why am I talking about this? Because this can be seen as a disruptor even in the blockchain sector. So in the crypto sector, what we might be looking at going forward will be how exponentially that quantum tech develops and then forms the use or the tool for the distribution of crypto assets and the security of crypto assets going forward. So we should begin to look at new platforms and how they will develop. Now, we've talked a lot about blockchain. Everybody talks about blockchain when it comes to conferences, speeches. You know, it's the end thing that Ubakar said. It probably is the eighth wonder of the world. Yes, but by 2019, I think what we've experienced is a blockchain fatigue. Okay, blockchain fatigue because we've talked so much about blockchain, but having been in the field for a short period, we've realized that blockchain is a lot more of a novelty, you know, that's run by perception of the people seeing it as the next, you know, great thing, rather than the actual use cases. So here we're not discounting the ability that we can actually or enable through blockchain. It's absolutely there. But if you look at the use cases, unfortunately, it's not been there. We have too few use cases on blockchain, and there are a number of reasons for this. The primary reason I'd go back to is the technology. Technology is not easily understood when it comes to blockchain, and then blockchain technology is actually evolving as we speak. So those platforms and the coding that is used to develop this is evolving at such a rapid pace that tomorrow you can expect a more efficient distribution of that blockchain, of that ledger, of that record. So this will all impact crypto going forward. And these are issues that are not often talked about, but really, you know, when we've been trying to implement blockchain for social finance, this is where we've experienced these issues. Now, let's talk very briefly about social finance, and you've asked that specific question. So yes, in Islamic social finance, and I'm careful mentioning Islamic in front of social finance, but when we're specifically talking about zakat, waqf, and other methods of social finance, then we realize that we have a major deficit. That trust deficit, that gap has only been increasing. And figures quoted by the IDB are well known today, between $200 and $500 billion worth of zakat annually is actually really not clearly accounted for. The potential is there, but if you look at collecting all of that effectively, then you can say within a 6 to 7 year period, you can actually rid the world of poverty. That's how great it would be. But that means you need to harness all of that social finance funding available and implement it efficiently. And that's where blockchain comes in. So we do see, you know, an amazing future for blockchain if it's used effectively. We have been working on specifically zakat blockchain and waqf blockchain. And when we use these, when we use blockchain as the platform, then we're really trying to solve very specific pain points. It's not a fix-all. It only solves specific issues, and those are issues of trust, those are issues of data storage and sharing, those are issues of recording of transactions, and those are issues of actually reporting and disclosing of the usage of the funds. So there is a lot to talk about. Inshallah, if there is more time, I'm sure that we can come back to these issues in more detail. Jazakallah khair.
Thank you, Dr. Ziad. I see Mr. Bashir is back on the screen. I understand there was some technical issues earlier. So maybe I have one question because I'm mindful of the time and I do see a number of questions coming in through Slido, and I'd like to give opportunities for the panelists to answer. So maybe Bashir, if we can just zero in on one question for you right now before we move back to the questions. Could you share with us why the FSA took the route that they did in terms of regulations and facilitating the Islamic fintech, and why the move to regulate, and basically the journey of the FSA in this whole chapter. Okay, I think we're gonna let the technical team resolve that technical issue. But and again, because I'm mindful of the time, and I'm just going to look at the most popular question. Dr. Daud, you have the most popular question directed at you, and I believe I'm going to take that question first. How did SC's Shariah Advisor Council come up with the conclusion that digital assets are Shariah compliant, and what are the basis? I know you talked a little bit on that, but seeing as how it is the one with the most likes, I'm not going to ignore that question and hand it over to you.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I'm nervous now. Basically, there are two important limbs to our resolution. The first leg of the resolution is to clearly pronounce that cryptos, currencies, they call cryptocurrencies as they are called, are asset. They are as good as commodities, be it tangible or intangible. In our case, it's very much intangible, like intellectual property, all the loyalties, a point that you are given when you travel, when you're a frequent traveler, many other things which are not tangible, but they are as good as asset and commodities. So they are deemed to be good commodities. And thank you, Dr. Algari, for highlighting the three important pillars of acceptability. In fact, the same point we have put in our resolution. If you refer to our website, we have put it clearly. It should be useful, it should be of legal benefit, it can be used by the people, so it can be disposed, it can be earned, it can be whatever. So it's based on the definition of al-mal in Arabic term, kullu ma yumkin hiyazatuhu wal intifa'u bihi. This is one of the famous definition. It's everything that can be hiyazah, possessed, either tangibly or intangibly, and intifa'u bihi can be used to serve the legitimate use of people. In our case, this crypto can be used for legitimate purposes, to buy and sell to some extent, or to have the value going up or going down. The second leg of, I need to be brief on this to give more time to other speakers. It's not currency, because for anything to be currency, it has to fulfill all three conditions: medium of exchange, store of value, and unit of measurement. We feel that these currencies, the cryptos, at least Bitcoin and Ether and some other important one, they can serve as medium of exchange, well and fine, but they are lacking. They are short of being the medium of the unit of measurement and store value. They cannot store the value still backed by the fiat in the market. So fiat is still dominant. So they are not as good as the fiat currency. That's why we are looking into them as not commodity but not currency at the same time, provided they are not backed by the ribawi item. We put the disclaimer over there. If they are backed by one of the gold and silver and fiat, for that matter, they could be deemed as ribawi and perhaps very close to the currency from that perspective. So this is our basics Sharia mind behind the resolution. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Daud. Sure, Dr. Algari, can I direct this next question to yourself, and actually also to maybe all the panelists, if you have a view on this. I recall Dr. Daud saying earlier about awareness, and that's why I think you were debating there is no conundrum, it's about awareness. And you talked about inclusion, Sheikh Algari, and Dr. Ziad also talked about the ability to use it for the needy. But how do you then address the fact that this, I think this is where the question comes in, where crypto and blockchain is an extremely complex subject. And how does one then do awareness of it or knowledge transfer, so then the utility of it goes higher? Could that also be a key issue in this? Because it could be a very exclusive crowd that understands how to do this. So when you're trying to bring into the Islamic finance, let alone Islamic capital markets, where investment is seen as something for the more served rather than the underserved. So putting all this together and trying to address this question, which how do you then bring it to the layman? I'm going to throw this question to all the three of you. Probably we'll start with Sheikh Dr. Al-Ghari, then go to Dr. Ziad, and back to you, Dr. Daud. I know we have about 12 minutes left. I'm trying to manage time here, but there's several questions on there, and I have to apologize outright to everyone. Obviously, this is the favorite topic in the Islamic finance space. So, Sheikh?
Yeah. Of course, it is very complicated, even for the people who are very well versed in this digital knowledge. But the layman need not understand it. He only needs to benefit from the fruits of using it. And furthermore, there are those who say that it has been hyped more than it deserves. And actually, there is not much to be expected. The hope that it will change everything, that is no longer actually reality, I think. And it is difficult to implement and fit into useful use, especially in complicated transactions like banking. Of course, the whole thing, as I understand it, although I do not claim that I am an expert or even well versed in the technology, is trust. It solves the problem of trust, and this is a huge advance. I mean, this is going to be solved so many problems if only we can know how to put it in use. You see, this is the problem. Yeah. Thank you.
Dr. Ziad?
Yes, so I'm going to talk specifically about how we can actually benefit from an ICM perspective. Again, I agree with Sheikh Al-Ghari. It is not necessarily about the awareness of understanding its entire mechanism. Like that, I don't believe that banking customers truly understand the details of the back office and how everything takes place, especially not for capital markets or even derivatives. But I think that where they can benefit, they should be made aware. And that benefit may be, for example, in a significant reduction in transaction costs. In the USA alone, we're looking at blockchain or DLT reducing costs to around $4 billion US. Then the securities clearing and settlement costs would decrease. Here we're talking about approximately $12 billion per year. And then infrastructure costs for banks and the cross-border payments, trading of securities. There's an expected $20 billion saving there. So these are just examples of how DLT can actually support on the capital market side. So if this will be felt by the end users, they need not understand the technical aspects of how it functions. But if they see that it's impacting their back pockets, I think they would appreciate that it's being used effectively. I'll stop there.
Dr. Daud?
I think I cannot agree more with both Dr. Al-Ghari and Dr. Ziad that the bottom line is the immediate benefit to the people in insurance, in banking, in remittance, in the in mining space for them to become the miners. They can get some profit out of it. The young people getting new job. But having said that, I think we have not put dedicated and structured training program. I have seen in the market there are many good platforms that can give ABC kind of explanation to the people. I think our millennial, they are faster than whatever, so they can pick up quickly. Our job is to provide the kind of humanistic approach to let them know about the cryptography, blockchain, the benefit of it. I think if we can do that, it can couple with the motivation to cut costs and to become more efficient with the awareness put inside it, it can become a greater revolution. That's why I don't think crypto is a conundrum. It's a matter of making it easy for people to understand. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that quick take on that. One other question on on the permissibility to trade. You see a high volatility in prices. I mean, you can see a high volatility. And I'm going to direct this question to both Sheikh Elgari and Dr. Dawood. That volatility, does that invite speculators? Would it create uncertainty, Gara? So I think that's a question that's floating through the apps, and also quite a popular one also. What's the view on that, Sheikh Elgari?
Of course, this is what caused many scholars to say that it is not halal, it is not permissible, because they believe that unless it is supervised and controlled by a central authority, it will be just a tool for speculation, for gambling, and for looting the wealth of the weaker sector of the society who are not aware of the intricacies of dealing in these digital currencies. So I agree, but this is not a basis for saying it is haram. One has to be careful. I mean, even land sometimes becomes so speculative that it is on the bordering on gambling. Also, the stock market can be so, but this is not sufficient to say it is haram. I would advise those who are not very knowledgeable to stay away from it. But I mean, it remains that it is something of value, and something that people think it is useful, and something that people assign value to it in normal circumstances. You see, when we are not in normal circumstances, this is not relied upon, because people can assign value to something in a case of war, for instance. They might assign value to something that in normal circumstances, it has no value. So in normal circumstances, people are assigning value to this thing. They think it is an asset. They think it is a property, and it's yes, it is speculative, and one has to be very careful. And I always advise people to stay away from it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sheikh.
If I may, Madam Moderator, I
Yes,
think I concur with Dr. Elgari just now. If I can go back to the jurisprudential point of view a bit, in terms of Islamic jurisprudence, we have to differentiate between gharar and khatar, risk. Gharar is something, uncertainty at the time of the contract. We need to be clear on the term of the contract, the pricing, the quantity, the quality of the asset, and what have you. But we cannot be controlling the outcome of the contract. The outcome of the contract is the risk that you have to take. You cannot avoid risk taking at the end of the day. So in the case of many other things in this world, including crypto, Dr. Gray mentioned about the land, the stock, and even the gold nowadays. In the last 6 months or so, the price has gone up, exponentially. It can go down, it can go up further, but the issue is different. We have to differentiate between gharar, which is the uncertainties surrounding the contract at the time of the contract, in terms of detail of the contract, what we are talking about, what we are dealing about. But the outcome of the contract is something which Shariah has no say whatsoever. This is the risk that you have to put your effort. Risk management will come in, portfolio, diversification, knowledge that Dr. Lee mentioned just now, for you to put the right expert to advise you. But this is nothing to do with gharar, and volatility is very much human nature. It's human. It's part of human, life. We cannot stop volatility. We cannot stop even speculation. Speculation and volatility are part of the integral to human life. What is bad, what is an evil, is gharar, the uncertainty of anything we do at the time of the contract. It is not in existence, it is not clearly defined, that it could lead to voidable or void, as the case may be. But the outcome, the result of the transaction, even the sale contract, which is halal contract, it could lead to loss, it lead to capital, they call it depreciation. It lead to many other things. So this is very delicate matter, even from the spiritual point of view. Ibn Taymiyyah was asked about that. He said, well, we don't interfere in the risk sector. We interfere in the specification of the goods, but not the outcome of the trading in the goods. Thank you very much.
with that very good reminder on risk and differentiating risk and speculation. I know we only have 2 more minutes. I have to leave from the questions from the Slido and move to the 3 panelists that remain here. I would like to ask each one of you to maybe just help close the session with where do you see digitalization, and in particular, in general, sorry, and digital currencies in particular, for Islamic finance, and maybe link it back to Islamic capital markets, if I may. And Dr. Daud, I don't know whether we have time for this. I just want to give you a little bit of a push on the phrase you had used earlier, not today, but in another forum, that we need to catch up. I believe that was one said. So maybe I'm going to start with Dr. Ziad and then move to Sheikh Elgari and then Dr. Daud. If I can do it in that order. Thank you.
Sure, very quickly. I think that it's going to play a significant role. I'm going to be afraid to say it will play a major role, because that really depends on the economic variables post-COVID and what happens then. But particularly for Africa, and here I'm from South Africa. Looking at Africa and accessing currencies that are stable, that has always been an issue. And then moving funds across border in Africa, looking at those people who are poor and need access to funds. This is an issue of financial inclusion, and they can benefit, or they would benefit from an easier flow of funds moving through a digital platform. So particularly, I think that it would be a case of demand, a case of need. In Africa, there's a need. There are many other countries where this need exists. And I believe that this need will drive the usage of crypto assets and digital currency, as well as social finance, in order to reduce the trust deficit and in order to increase access to the market and the economy as a whole.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ziad. Sheikh Elgari?
Yes, I think the only thing that might slow the process is the central banks, because otherwise it will go in the speed of light. I mean, this is something that will change everything. And furthermore, look at it. I mean, it is reducing cost, making the process more efficient. How lucky can you be? And maybe the central banks are slowing the process for a good cause. But I think there is no, I mean, I agree with Dr. Dawood Bakaria. You have to catch up, because otherwise we'll miss the boat. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheikh. Dr. Daud? You're on mute, Dr. Daud.
Yeah, thank you very much. So basically, I would like to conclude by this time by quoting the interesting quote, which is close to my heart, by Martin Luther King, the Jr. He was quoted of saying, "There's always the right time to do the right thing." I think the time has come for us to do the most right thing, which is digital transformation across the board. And I would agree with Dr. Elgari, everyone must come in, from the government, regulator, the private sector, the people, zakat, wakaf, social finance, across the board, because digital transformation has no religion, has no division, has no geography, has no ownership. It belongs to everyone. Thank you very much.
Those were very powerful words to end it with, Dr. Daud. I mean, we heard awareness, we heard inclusiveness, we heard doing good for the people, and in the new tough times that we've been seeing the last 6 months, I think these are all good points for us to be bringing into our strategies as we move on. Truly, 1 hour is not sufficient for a conundrum or not to be debated, for sure. And like I said, having such an esteemed panelist, it's a waste to have it in such a short time, but nevertheless, we'll take that into consideration. Maybe the organizers can consider a longer session for speakers such as yourselves. Once again, I would like to thank all the experts and panelists today for sharing your views and ideas. We can work maybe towards applying the delete function for the conundrum. I mean, we're all technology, right? So we need to apply the delete function now for the conundrum we're facing today. Insights have been very valuable. I thank all of those present today for making the time to join us. Just to everyone, do stay on for the next session. We are fit for future workforce at 4 p.m. Do take advantage of the networking opportunities available on the Brella platform. Hope everyone enjoys the rest as SC by SC 2020. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and have a blessed year for the rest of the year, everyone. Thank you.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.